basically the process of taking this is not quite straightforward. What we need to do first is that we need to actually go to the web user control, go to the C# part. Okay, so how do you do it? Okay, basically I expand here. See this one, this is ascx.cs. So I double click this. Okay, now this is what you get. So there's no button click or anything here. Okay, so what we need to do is that we need to declare a special property that can pass the selected item for the radio button list. Okay, selected item for the radio button list so that it can be accessed from the survey form. Okay, so what we can do is that, okay, we have this page load. Okay, you need to actually declare your own property so that this can be accessed. So basically, okay, first we need to put in the access modifier public, because public can be accessible from anywhere within this particular application. Public. Okay, I'm going to choose a string because we are going to get whether it's a yes or it's a no, so it must be a string. Okay, now what is the name of the property? Okay, this is a user defined property, so I'm going to give a special name. So this is gym membership. Okay, because the question is actually whether you go or not to the gym, so it must be that you must be a member of a gym. So basically I'm giving the property name gym membership. So this is the header. Okay, now this is actually the block or the braces that we need to define. So what is it that we want to put in? Okay, now you see that this red color, meaning that see the property must have at least one accessor, so meaning there's something in here. So now basically we are going to use a get and set. Okay, so basically if you actually learn object-oriented programming, so you should have been covering the concept of getter and setter. So this is a concept of object-oriented programming. I will actually write the code, explain a little bit, but I think this is beyond the scope of this particular course. Okay, so here the purpose of this is that for us to get the value, so we are not giving any value because the value will be selected from the view. So we are getting this, what has been selected, and to pass this to allow the survey form to access this value. So we have get. Okay, put in this block get. Now within this get we type return. Okay, now what is the name of the radio button list just now? It is, you can see that it will see RBL gym. Okay, this is the RBL gym. This is the name of the radio button list. Dot. Okay, this is similar. We have selected index, selected item, values, and so on. So we are choosing selected item because we want either yes or no. And finally we have toString. So this is actually, if you notice, this is very similar to what we have done in web form 1. Okay, where is web form 1? Let me show you web form 1 just to refresh ourselves. Okay, you can see that this is similar. Okay, this one. Okay, RBL gym dot selected item dot toString. Okay, and if you have a look at this one, this is the same. Okay, the only difference is that it returns the value. So this is what we call a get setter, but this is not complete because there must be a semicolon here. Okay, so this is just one line. Okay, actually two lines. We have get and we have return and so on. So this is actually we create a public property So meaning that other forms can access this information. Okay, now let us save this one. Now this is the first one, okay, the web user control one. Okay, let us go to the second one. Okay, okay, now the second one, I'm going to expand this. Okay, now this is the C# code. Okay, now for the second one, this is more complicated because it is not just one value, because a checkbox list, okay, you can have multiple values. So basically we need to actually retain, okay, the listing similar to what we have done in the web form 2. Okay, so if you go to web form 2, just let's say to refresh ourselves. Okay, so we need to actually retain this part. We need to retain this part. To how do we transfer this part to our actual user control? Okay, now you can see that here there is a use of a certain control. So meaning that we store everything based on a control. Okay, however, if we go here, there's no control here. So basically uh, we are going to actually, and there are many ways to do it, but I think the quite easier way is for us to actually incorporate the concept of the control just now, okay, to this particular condition. Okay, okay, now how do we what do I mean by that? Because just talk you wouldn't understand. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go to this web user control tool, ASAX. See, this is the design. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually put in one one label here at the bottom of the button, and I'm going to change the property to visible equals to false, meaning that when we run, nobody can see this. But the purpose of this is like a hidden control, so that it can store, can hold the value for us using the control. Okay, because if we try to hold the value using a variable, the code will be longer. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to the source. Okay, let us go to the toolbox. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to actually put in a label. Okay, let's say at the bottom of this, okay, the last one. Okay, label 1 and so on. Okay, let's say that I'm going to actually change the ID. Let's change the ID to similar to what we have done just now. We have LBL all selected items. Okay, in my example, see items, there is an S. Okay, so if you do copy this, please be careful whether there is an S or there is no S, because a single S can give you an error. Okay, so this is this one. Okay, now in terms of the text, okay, we are not interested in any text at this point of time. Okay, but there is another property that is importable, that is we need, because we do not want to display here. This is like a hidden field, but I can say that this is a hidden control. You can see that the visible equals to true. There is a property here, visible, okay, equals to true. So by default, if you don't put anything, it consider that is true. So I'm going to choose false. I'm going to choose false. So false means that if you ever run this, okay, it will not be displayed. Okay, it will not be displayed. Okay, now once we have this, let us save this one. Let us go to the C# code. Okay. Okay, this is actually, this is for the web form, so we are not looking for the web form, but we are going for the web user control ASCX.cs. Okay, so basically uh, what we actually need to do now is that, okay, in the web user control 2, okay, let me go, okay, go to design. Okay, you see this checkbox list. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to double click this, so meaning that I'm going to trigger for every time someone actually changes the checkbox, so it will store the new value. Okay, to store the new value, and this will be stored in the label LBL all selected item. Okay, so here first I'm going to enable auto postback. Okay, then I'm going to double click this. Okay, now once we have double clicked this, you will see that there is this CBL regimen underscore selected index change. So this is the one. So what do we actually type this here? Okay, what do we type here? So basically we can go to our web form 2 just now. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to copy most of this. Okay, I'm copy this one. Okay, copy this one. Copy, Control C. Go here. I'm going to paste the whole thing. Now, the only thing that we do not want is that I do not want this you selected thing, because there is this question, okay, how do you stay fit, or how do you stay healthy? So let's say that I'm going to just delete you selected, but we start with a break. So meaning that it will display on the next line. Okay, so but everything else you can see that there's no change compared to the web form 2 just now. Okay, now this is you change this here. Okay, now there is another thing that we need to add. Okay, just now we have this get. We also need to put in the get here. This is for the public property, so that the survey form, for the survey form, yes, can access the data from this user control. So similarly, I type in public. Okay, this is also a string, okay, because we have a list of regimen. So I'm going to name this property regimen. Okay, this is a name. You can choose any name, but a name should be meaningful. Okay, now this one. Okay, we have get. Okay, we have get. So now inside this curly bracket, okay, this is a block. Return. Okay, now what are we returning? So we are returning actually LBL all selected items dot text. Okay, because we store this in a label just now. So basically once we store into this label, and this value, the text value on this label, will be used to return. So meaning that the survey form will be able to access this value. Okay, later on we will see how we are trying to get this information, okay, after we run. Okay, now this is the second part. So basically what we did here, there is an extra work, because okay, the process of doing this is a little bit lengthy, because we are using a loop and so on, because it's more than one values. Okay, but this is almost similar. Okay, we return based on this one. Okay, now for the third one, okay, let us go to the web user control 3. Okay, this is, where is it? Okay, now this is web user control. So now I double click. Okay, this is the ASCX.cs. Okay, now this is straightforward, similar to web user control 1. So the only thing that we need here is that what we need is that to declare a public property. Okay, this is also a string, and now this is frequency. Okay, I give the property name frequency. Okay, this is the block. We have get. Okay, now within this I have return. So what do we return? So we are going to return, you see there's DDL frequency, okay, dot selected item dot to string. So this is it. Okay, and this you will find that this is actually this part is the same with what we have in our web form 3. Okay, so this is, let me show you. Okay, you can see see this part, this is the same. Okay, this is the same with this. Okay, this is the same. Okay, now let us save everything. So basically what we have we did just now is that we put in this in the web user control 1, 2 and 3. So this is a getter and setter, but again this is actually covered in your object oriented programming. Okay, so I'm sure that you have learned about this concept. Okay, so basically and the last part that we need to do is that we need to go to the our survey form. Okay, our survey form. So basically this is our survey form. We click this survey form ASPNET.cs. Now, okay, so for this purpose, okay, we need to actually do a little bit of changes here. So we can directly change this. Okay, now this is page load. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to actually change this to page load complete. Original is page underscore load. Now page load complete, and this is actually there is no space here. Okay, please do not put in something like this. This will be an error. Okay, so it must be like this. So now the difference between page load and page load complete means that page load, it loads. Okay, for example, this is okay. I think it's better for me to just copy the whole thing, do another one. Okay, now this one you can copy. Okay, for page load, let's say I put something like this. Now of course we cannot have both page load. One is complete. Okay, there is a typo error, not complete here. Okay, the difference is that page load, it will load everything, the values or anything, okay, before other controls being loaded. But for page load complete, it will load after all the controls has actually loaded, triggered the value. Okay, the explanation is a little bit complicated, but I think we will not discuss in detail about such concepts. But what is important to us is that let us write our code. Now, just now we have the LBL result 1, 2 and 3. So I have LBL, let's say result 1. This is text. Okay, here how do we actually now from this survey form, how do we access the values of gym membership from web user control 1? Okay, so it's very easy. So we type in, you see, web. Okay, you can see that web user control 1. Okay, now select this web user control 1 dot. Okay, you see that now there is this gym membership. This is the properties that we define. So this is considered a user defined property. Now gym membership. Okay, now this is the first one. For LBL result 2 dot text, this is from web user control 2. Now the property just now is regimen. Okay, regimen. And the third one is LBL result 3 dot text equals to web user control 3 dot. Okay, you can see that we have frequency here. See, there is frequency here because we have declared the property. This is frequency. Okay, now save everything. Okay, and we can run our code. So make sure that it is at the survey form, whether it's ASPX.cs or just ASPX. What's important? Survey form. Okay, now this is the survey form. Okay, I'm going to run this.